So today's revision video is going to be about eggs as a commodity. So to start with, I'm just going to go over some of the types of eggs that you can purchase in the UK. So we've got chicken, quail, duck and goose. These are not the only types of eggs that you can buy in the UK, these are just the most common. Chicken are obviously the ones that we use most often in catering, and they can be used in lots and lots of different dishes, and they've got lots of different uses. The supermarkets are starting to sell more speciality types of eggs, so have a look out next time you're in there. So the next thing that I'm going to do is go over the uses of eggs in catering. So you've used eggs in lots and lots of different practicals for lots of different reasons. So the examples that I've got for uses of eggs are whisked, as a glaze, to bind ingredients together, to coat ingredients, to emulsify ingredients, to coagulate and to thicken. Now I have got a new setup with my camera, and which is why it's gone off the bottom. I thought it was all in view, but it's not. So for some examples of some of these different uses of eggs, the most common for whisk is as a Swiss roll. So you might have made a Swiss roll for your coursework, or you might have made a Yule log at Christmas in year 9, and that uses a fatless sponge mixture where you whisk up eggs, you get lots of air into them, it gives you a nice sponge that's nice and light and airy. You've used eggs as a glaze, especially when we've been making pastry. So when we've made pasties, for example, you would have beaten an egg, brushed it over the top of the pastry, and when you bake it, it will turn nice and golden brown and shiny. When we made meatballs in year 10, you would have used eggs to bind your ingredients together. So your minced beef and your onion and your other ingredients, you put an egg in there. As it cooks, the egg will set and it will hold all of those ingredients together in their shape. You've used eggs to coat an ingredient when you made chicken Maryland. So you would have done the flour, egg and breadcrumb technique, which would have, the egg would have kept all of those breadcrumbs on it, would have fully coated that chicken. Some of you in your coursework, for coursework 2, you made mayonnaise, and that's an example of using eggs to emulsify. So mayonnaise is made up with vinegar and oil. Those two liquids don't go together. So you need the eggs in there to hold all of them together. You can also use eggs to coagulate or to set a mixture. Coagulate is just the term that means when eggs set. So think about when a fried egg is cooked, it sets. Okay, so you have made a quiche, and that's an example of using eggs to set a mixture or to coagulate. You've also used eggs to thicken. So when you've made custard or when you've made creme patissiere, you put eggs into that mixture, you cook it, and that will start to thicken your sauce. So the next thing that we're going to cover is storage of eggs. Now, for good practice, you should store eggs in the fridge. If you're storing them in the fridge, they should be below 8 degrees C if you are meeting the legal limit, and below 5 degrees C if you are showing good practice. Ideally, eggs should be in the fridge pointy end down. Okay, I know that sounds strange, but if you put them pointy end down, it means that the air that gets into the egg is less likely to travel to the yolk and ruin it. Okay, if you're using eggs in something like cakes, it's really important you bring them up to room temperature before you use them. They're going to work a lot better because they're at the right temperature. So to do that, all you need to do is put them in a bowl, put them on the side for about an hour before you're going to use them. If you've got eggs that you've separated, so like when you make meringues or you use egg yolks for something like a curd, you can separate them and you can freeze the other half if you're not using them. Okay, so it's fine to freeze them as long as they've been separated. So the next thing that we're going to cover is the cost of eggs. Now, eggs are a relatively cheap commodity, so to buy eggs they're not that expensive. However, if you're buying speciality eggs, so from a different kind of bird, if you're buying free range or organic, these are going to be more expensive. If you're buying caged or battery eggs, these are going to be your cheapest option because it doesn't cost very much for farmers to produce eggs using chickens which are kept in those conditions. So now I'm going to talk about the freshness of eggs and how you see how fresh they are when you crack them open. So you have done this recently in class. This was the lesson where we had 3 different eggs cracked onto 3 different plates set up on the table, the first table in my classroom. So when you crack an egg open, you'll be able to see that there is the yolk, then there's a thicker egg white, and then around the edge there's a thinner egg white. The more thick egg white you have, the fresher the egg. The more thin egg white you have around the very edge, the older the egg, so it goes a little bit watery around the edge. That's because over time that thick egg white gets thinner, so you can see the difference. Also, when you crack an egg open, if you look into the inside of the shell, there will be an air sac in there. The smaller that air sac, the fresher the egg. Because eggshells obviously have pores in them which allow air in for the chick. Over time there will be more air in the egg, and that means that air sac gets bigger. So the last thing that I'm going to talk to you about is the nutrition that's found in eggs. Eggs contain a range of nutrients, which means that they're quite a good food for us to eat. So eggs are high in protein. They also contain iron, vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E and vitamin B12. So you know that protein is needed for the growth and repair of our muscles in our bodies. Because eggs come from an animal, these are known as a HBV protein, or high biological value. This means that they contain all the amino acids that we need, and so this means that they are a complete protein. It's really good for vegetarians to eat eggs because sometimes it can be difficult to get all of those amino acids from plant foods, so eggs are a good food that vegetarians can eat. Iron is also found in eggs. Again, you're quite confident at knowing what iron's for. So iron helps our body to produce really good quality red blood cells that can carry lots of oxygen. So by having lots of iron, it's going to help you to have energy and to not be tired or lethargic. If you have too little iron over a longer period of time, you can develop the illness that's anemia, which will mean you're quite tired, you're quite lethargic. Eggs also contain vitamin A. Vitamin A is needed for our night vision. So the way that I remember this is by remembering that vitamin A is sometimes called retinol. We have retinas in our eyes, so it's got to be good for our night vision. Eggs also contain vitamin D. Vitamin D helps our body to absorb calcium. So it does all the things that we need. It helps calcium to do its job. So it gives us strong bones and teeth. We don't need very much vitamin D in our diet because we get lots from the sunshine, but it's always good to top it up. We get vitamin E from eggs, and we need vitamin D for healthy cells. So it helps to make all of our cells in our body good quality. You can also get vitamin B12 in eggs. Now, vitamin B12 is one of the many B vitamins, and this one specifically helps to protect us against heart disease. So that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and remember to look on Frog for some more revision resources.